What happens when you die? The question has been asked for generation after generation and no one has a clear answer. Some says that when we die we go to a place according to our actions, heaven or hell. Others says that we get reincarnated or reborn into a human or an animal. And others says till we just cease to exist. All of these answers are based on belief. To know the right answer you need to take a moment to think it all over. Think deep. To truly know what happens after you die we have to use what we know about death. What is death? Words are very dangerous things if not understood properly. You can use words to manipulate people, to make them believe, to redirect their way of thinking. So to analyze the word death we need to know what it actually means. But don't look at the dictionary, look into yourself, think deep. Not in a spiritual way, not in a belief, just forget about God, about spirits, just think about nature. To understand death we need to clear our minds, and nature says that when you die you lose your power to use a body. You can't think, see, feel, hear, smell or taste. You have no willpower over your body or anything else. Your thoughts and everything disappear forever and you cease to exist, not to be reborn, not to be seen again. That's what actually happens when you die, and we all know that. But actually that means nothing to us just like that. The only thing it means is that we know nothing about what happens when you die. And to know that answer we have to look back. Now take a good look at your life, feel it, smell it, taste it, hear it, see it, and think a lot about it. Life as we have it means everything and it is crazy to think that one day it will end. It's very hard to believe that it actually will happen. To understand what happens after you die we have to understand that we are alive right now. On this very moment, how can you even exist now and cease to exist later? That is just nonsense. We are missing something that we do not understand. And that is what we are looking for the answer to what happens when we die. We have life and death but we are missing something, and that something is before life. What happened before we were born? Before we lived, where were we? Is there a word for it? After we die we have a word for it and it's that you're death, but what about before you were born? We just say that we don't exist yet, so to make this clear we don't exist after we die, and we don't exist before we were born, so before and after life we are death. But again death is a very confusing word. Death is for someone that existed and then ceased to exist. So just to say it right and clear, we don't exist after we die, and we don't exist before we are born. We only exist when we are alive. Does that make sense? You see the confusion with the word death? Death is for someone that actually existed and for that reason death is a belief. For nature is just plain simple, you just no longer exist, same as before you were born. So what happened before you were born? We only know that we don't know. Every single individual has asked that question before. Where were we before we were born? And the nature's answer is that we didn't existed, so we did not existed, then we exist and after we will no longer exist again. And that is the answer on what happens after you die. The answer is that we no longer exist after we die, but there is a chance that we will live again, because before we were born we didn't existed.